Hello everybody, Larry Young here again with another segment of OLaman Living Life with Purity. And it looks like we're going to have No Kings 2.0 coming at us here in a week or so. I don't know exactly what date they've called for, but the same people who organized and orchestrated the No Kings rallies of this last fall are at it again. And now they want to have an anti-ICE rally. I think they're going to try to target, for the most part, their point of, big poll or big group gathering that they're trying to get. They're trying to get people to go to Minneapolis, St. Paul, and to turn up in the streets and cause, all sorts of commotion and try to make their point heard a little more forcefully than what they feel they've already gotten. So the No Kings protests were kind of a bust. A lot of people in the media wanted to say that there were over 3 million people across the country turned out for this, but the forensic auditors, the people who look at photos of the gatherings and stuff like that, haven't been able to come anywhere near 3 million with their projections over what happened at that time. They say at best there was maybe 700,000 people turned out along parade routes or determined areas of protest that they could see at any time, that there may have been as many as 700,000 people around the country were in the area when these protests were going on last fall. So this is what happens. A lot of hyperbole, a lot of everyone puffing about how big their turnout was and things like that. Trump does it. They do it all the time when they talk about everybody does this or everybody does that and nobody wants this and nobody wants that. It's all puffing. Everybody does it. It's part of our nature, and it's part of our desire to be heard and understood and appreciated and validated. So, and that's the real thing that people are looking for right now is validation, and they want to be understood that my opinion is superior to yours, and I'm here to educate you because you don't know, and I'm here to tell you how it actually goes. And even though the person telling you that has a nose ring and blue hair and really doesn't know much about anything yet in life, but they do know that they're upset and they don't know exactly why, but they all want to blame it on the same general target, and that happens to be President Donald Trump. So this is kind of a deflection that goes on in the critical thinking or the non-critical thinking, and just more of the reaction that goes on by a lot of people in these mania situations, as I'll call it, more of a mass mania and a hysteria. And I know a lot of the people that are part of these tribes, these manias, these histrionics that are going on, that a lot of them would not agree with the word hysteria or mania. But these are the people that have decided that having a nose ring is a great sign of their independence and their power, when actually they don't understand what the concept of the nose ring was for to begin with. And I'm not talking about for animals, like the bull with the nose ring, which is obviously there to help control the animal. But a lot of the people wearing these nose rings today don't realize that the nose ring in humans came about thousands of years ago. And it was a sign that was put on the woman in a marriage or relationship or a coupling by the man. And he would put a nose ring in her nose to let other people know that she was his possession. She was his, and he had control over her. And they didn't use rings like we do these days because, you know what? These women were still working, and they were still doing things to help keep food on the table and things like this in their subsistence living. So she was working. They couldn't have rings to mess things up, so they put it through the nose. And this let other men, males, know that this woman was taken, and if you tried to couple with her, there was going to be trouble. You were going to have some pushback from the other guy. So it was a sign of ownership and possession that was used at that time. But the people today seem to think it's a sign of power and emancipation and a declaration of some sort saying that it's a choice. And I just have to ask, well, what were the options? If this is what you had to go with, what was the other option? I don't know. So this is what happens when you have people with disturbed minds and they don't keep their critical thinking about them. They don't think beyond the immediate situation. They don't think about what this is going to look like. They don't care. They're so disrupted up in here that they can't do anything else except try to betray their own bodies with these things. And hey, it's up to them. It's not my body. They can do whatever they want. But I can stare and look and wonder, just like anybody else. I'm free to do that. So I will continue to do the same. So the average person who's showing up for these protests from the last studies was these people that did protest were typically 45 years or older. They were female. They had no children, and they either had a job in education or government, or they were unemployed. They weren't busy about much of anything, and they didn't have anything in the home to make them feel engaged in a home-type relationship, so they were going out to try to find validation out in the world with these types of things. Some sociologists and commentators have called these women awfuls, AWFULs, affluent, white, female, urban liberals. And other people have called it angry, white, female, unmarried liberals. So either way, you come across with awful. And there's a lot of these same characteristics across both of those definitions with these people. They're angry, they're shouting these chants and things like that, and they really don't have a dog in the fight except for what they have going on in their emotional storm in their heads. And this is a way for them to vent and get things out. And as many psychiatrists and psychologists had opined after the No Kings event, they had declared it having been it was a national day of therapy that was going on, that these mentally ill people could all gather together and have a moment of group therapy together. And a lot of them may have realized how silly they looked if they looked at the photos afterward, because a lot of times when you're in this mania, you don't see yourself as other people may see you because you're so disturbed by your intention to do something, whatever that may be. It could be a lot of things, fill the blank type of thing. But what we're finding out is we have a lot of people who are unhappy about too many things to even discuss in this one segment I have going on right now. But they all want to blame their unhappiness on one source of conflict, and that is Donald Trump. Now, this is projecting at its best, and its mass hysteria is the result that comes out of this. So you got all these people are projecting their emotions and their anger about things, how things didn't turn out for them, how their life didn't turn out the way they dreamed in their Barbie world way back when. They made poor choices along the way. Some of that was jewelry that went in their nose and other orifices, who knows. This is what happens when you make bad choices. Like they say, play certain games, win certain prizes. And this is what's going on in the world right now. So we have a lot of people out there aren't happy about things, especially women. They're very unsettled, and they're very determined to try to get revenge or get validation as they see it, to wear as a badge of some sort. And what is really missing in these women's lives is the love and the admiration of a man. And this is where, in the realm of Our Lady of America and what is the cure for our nation's problems and our world's problems, is that at this moment, we don't need Mary so much as an influence, but we need St. Joseph. And we need men to stand up in the role of St. Joseph more and more. You're not going to be able to fix all of these people. I mean, my gosh, there's too many out there that are too determined to be unhappy. We're not going to fix them all. We can't. But what you can do is you can try, and you can try to help them by standing up and being strong yourself. And I'm talking to the men right now. And some of you women need to understand this too, that you can be a bit like St. Joseph as well, because you can stand up and you can appreciate the love and the help of a strong man in your life. It's not saying that you're weak. It's saying that you are, what we want to say, you are cooperative, and you are understanding the nature of how God designed us all. And there's a way for you to be happy in this world, and that is to accept the way that God made you, and to try to offer some sort of correspondence back to the design that nature has put into you. You know, answer it back with truth. Don't answer it back with lies and covering things up, you know, to try to come up with some narrative that makes you feel good in the moment. We have to be truthful about things. These are permanent points of wisdom. So you can't deny that God made us in a certain way. You can try to reject it all you want, but it's not going to work out. You're always going to lose when it comes to nature. So the No Kings protests are coming back again, but this time they're going to call it No Tyrants or something like that, or something about immigration, no ICE. They don't want to enforce the laws of the country. They're upset about that. But as back with Our Lady of America, when she is asked to be named and recognized as Queen of our country, when we have people out on the streets and so many are saying no kings, and a lot of these protests are being helped along and being championed by Catholics and parish priests around the country are taking to the streets to protest, which is their right to do so. But should probably not wear their collar out there if they're going to be doing this, because I really don't think it's a proper way for the church to exercise its influence. I know I'm in the minority on that. A lot of people say, oh, you got to get out there and be a champion. All right, but let's find out what it is you're fighting for, and don't be stupid about that, because I think there's a lot of room for debate in that. But I think that anyone's calling for no kings isn't going to accept a queen. So the timing on this is probably really bad for Our Lady of America. It's probably not being supported by too many of the priests out there, and especially the bishops who have these lavender agendas going on, and we need to watch out for that. You need to push back on that too, because that goes with this, and this is all part of the subversive way that they want to tunnel in underneath you and then pop up, kind of like a Hamas fighter using one of their tunnels. They want to do everything, all the hard work, out of view, and then pop up, and then all of a sudden, surprise! Here we are. So be aware, be smart about this. Don't forget, it's okay to mock people. Don't call them names, but you can mock them and say, bless your heart, all this other things, and say, whatever you say, honey, and then laugh and walk away. It's one of the best ways to fight back against this mass hysteria. So in the meantime, I love you, and I'll be back.